Good evening.
Oh, I'm dancing to your music. I was dancing to your music.
Well, okay.
Legion.
It occurred to me that you were doing something over there. I couldn't figure out why she's doing it. And then I realized
dancing to your music.
the instrument is called the kalimba.
Show it to me again.
Kalimba.
Kalimba. Show it again.
Kalimba.
Okay. So that's what it looks like.
Yes. Calabash. Flanges.
Is it called a thumb piano too or something? Is it called a thumb piano?
Thumb piano by some people, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I love the sound of it.
Very good. I do too.
Okay, here we are back.
Are they bigger sometimes?
Thank you. A hot cup of tea. You're too sweet to me. I need it.
Yes,
I think this is why you know what?
Oh, you're missing a cup, so.
I would love to see a collection of kids who are so good with their thumbs these days.
Oh, yes.
Create
Instead of on their phones or the iPads.
It's called a smartphone orchestra.
I like that. That would be fine.
That's something else. Let's stay with this for the moment.
Okay. Yes, in the cold.
My name is Odie Hawkins, and I'm here to read from articles, from columns that I wrote in 1996 and 1998 for a newspaper called the African Times newspaper.
Yes.
And I have to give a shout out to Mr. Charles Ancham. Mr. Charles Ancham. When I think back on it, it was kind of fun. We had problems with each other. I guess maybe the way writers have with publishers from time to time. But when I think back on it, he never tried to restrict what I was writing about.
Okay.
And I really appreciate that. He never told me, do it this way or write it this way. I brought it in and it was published. So these are columns from that period of time. And as you've been able to determine by this time, if you've been following the readings,
yes, sir.
I was writing about everything that occurred to me.
That's what a writer should do. Write what you know, write what you
write about what you know, what you like.
What interests you.
Well, this is the Asai Jews.
This is the Asai, yes.
Right.
From Costco.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you there. I think it's very hard to have someone commission you to write about something in a certain kind of way. Some people, I don't know, some people like that kind of direction, but personally, I do not.
All right.
The piece I would like to read is about a man named Abdias Do Nascimento.
Name familiar to me.
My Portuguese is not perfect, so if I mispronounce some of the names, please forgive me. I got to know Mr. Nascimento through his son, Henrique Nascimento, back in 1978 or 79 or something like that, who became my first Capoeira teacher. He'd just come from Brazil, freshly married to Ileana Guilherme Ramos, who's the daughter of the famous anthropologist Guilherme Ramos. It was kind of a matchup of interesting people. I can say more about Mr. Nascimento by way of reading the column.
I sure wish his son would come back into your life, our lives, so that I could actually really meet him.
I'm sure he will at some point. Henrique was a very interesting guy who sort of came up from out of a smoke thing.
Well, I'll tell you, if you and Cedric had not convinced me that there was such a man, I find him hard to believe.
Hard to believe. We met him, and his English was not very good at the time. And I don't know, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, he was speaking faster than we were.
Extraordinary.
Except he was calling different things, different names, you know. Use your knee, use your knee. I said, no, that's your elbow.
Me and my Spanish, okay, right, okay, got it.
Very, very gracious guy, really good sense of humor, and yeah, I would like to see him again.
Okay.
But this is LA, and people disappear. It's a little bit like the rain we're having, where whole streets are disappearing.
This is true.
But on with the reading. I'm calling this Remembering Abdias Do Nascimento, who was Brazil's own Malcolm X, because that's what they thought of his father back then. Abdias do Nascimento is considered by many to be the Malcolm X of Brazil, the father of Afro-Consciousness. We would hope that this partial account of his achievements will serve to introduce him to more North Americans. He was born in 1914 in Franca. I did my research.
Gotcha.
He was born in 1914 in Franca, Sao Paulo State, grandchild of enslaved Africans. His father was a shoemaker and his mother was a candy maker. He participated in the Brazilian Black Front of the 1930s, the civil rights movement of the time, and was imprisoned for protesting against the new state dictatorship in 1937. A lot of African Americans in North America don't pay very much attention to our brothers and sisters south of us.
Well, any other continent but here, yeah.
You see? I mean, so this is a tiny effort to introduce some people to a man they may not know. Nascimento founded the Black Experimental Theater in Rio de Janeiro in 1944. When we met, I met him several times. We went out, we had dinner and so forth. At one point, they had white people playing black parts in Brazilian. Can you imagine?
Oh, that's true.
Here's a country 75% black.
Right.
I don't care what they say. Mulatto, quadroon, octoroon, black. This organization broke the color bar in Brazilian theater, trained the first generation of African Brazilian actors and actresses, created opportunities for African Brazilian playwrights, and organized the Afro-Brazilian Democratic Committee, 1945, First Congress of Brazilian Blacks, 1950, and other important events. Henrique's mother was a lady named Leia Garcia Nascimento, and she is the one who plays the cousin of the woman in the movie Black Orpheus. You really see is going to visit her cousin up in the favela, up in the hills. And the woman she's going to meet is Leia Garcia, who was Henrique's mother, who was in the film.
How
That is a classic.
It is.
Her name is Leia Garcia. I forget her name in the film, but she's the happy-go-lucky lady who has the sailor boyfriend visiting her. I don't want to get too far off away, but these little tidbits have to be done.
Yes, appreciate.
They formed the first Congress of Brazilian Blacks, 1950, and other important events. It published a newspaper, Quilombo. In 1968, Nascimento founded the Black Arts Museum in Rio de Janeiro. In exile from the military dictatorship, he lectured at the Yale School of Dramatic Arts and participated in the Seminar on Humanity in Revolt at Wesleyan University. In 1971, he founded the chair of African culture in the New World at the Puerto Rican Studies and Research Center, State University of New York at Buffalo, where he lived and taught until 1981. In addition to his political activities, he is an artist, and his paintings have been widely exhibited in the United States. I was hoping I could find a book with his paintings in it, but I don't have one. We'll have to get one.
Yes.
Nascimento's voice was heard at several international African forums, including the 6th Pan-African Congress at Dar es Salaam, 1974, and Encounter for African World Alternatives, Dakar, Senegal, 1976. In 1976-77, he taught at the University of Ife's Department of African Languages and Literature in the sacred Yoruba city of Ile-Ife, Nigeria. He participated in the Second World Festival of Black and African Arts and Culture, Lagos, 1977, and the First and Second Congress of Black Culture in the Americas, in Cali, Colombia, 1977, and Panama, 1980. He was elected General Coordinator of the Third Congress of Black Culture in the Americas. He returned to Brazil in 1981 and founded the Afro-Brazilian Studies and Research Institute, which sponsored the Third Congress held at Sao Paulo's Catholic University in 1982. Busy man. When I met him, he was in his 70s and he was full of energy. That same year, 1982, Nascimento took office as federal congressman. The first African Brazilian member of Congress with a mandate of defending his people's civil and human rights. In 1968, he gave the inaugural Pan-African lecture in the annual series at the W.E.B. Du Bois Cultural Center in Accra, Ghana, where we visited in 2013 and 2014. He gave inaugural Pan-African at Du Bois Center in Accra, Ghana. In 1989, visited Angola as a UNESCO consultant. In 1990, he was elected with Darcy Ribeiro and Duarte de Andrade to the Senate seat from Rio de Janeiro.
Oh my goodness.
Father was nothing, mother was nothing, he came from nothing. You talked about his mother having burn marks on her knee, on her arm from stirring candy around they made in a tub, and he became a congressman, a senator with from the seat of Rio de Janeiro.
You never know.
In 1991, he was appointed state secretary of the newly created Secretariat for the Defense and Promotion of Afro-Brazilian Peoples. Currently is a member of the Rio de Janeiro State Council of Culture and president of the Zumbi Memorial, an Afro-Brazilian organization of national scope.
This was written in 1998. Wow.
In 1995, a collection of his paintings were published in a coffee table-sized book entitled Orishas, os Deuses Dios da África. Orishas, the living gods of Africa in Brazil.
We'll have to get that book.
Hey. The book is dedicated to the memory of Zumbi, or Palmares, on the 3rd centennial of his death, 20 November 1695. Zumbi was a warrior. Finally, a few brief notes, quotes from two people who have written about Abdias Do Nascimento's works. Molefi Kete says, Abdias Do Nascimento is perhaps the closest we have come in this century to an African artist, scholar, philosopher, who has combined all of the elements of African culture in his works. He has not allowed himself to be limited by the context of Brazil or South America. Standing on the context of Brazil or South America, standing on the shoulders of the mighty warriors of Brazil, the African ancestors of Angola, Congo, and Nigeria, he has reached high into the ethereal sky of life to grasp the very soul of the African. Abdias Do Nascimento, my capoeira teacher's father, I'm proud to be able to write about. I was proud to be able to write about.
My goodness, he was a man who believed in himself, regardless of what his circumstances were.
You know,
yes.
You know, when you pour anywhere, you know, poor is poor. But when you pour in a third world country, it seems like the dimensions of your possibilities are so limited that you can come from maybe up from here to here, but to become a senator and to be given all these honors.
What did you say, from pole to poor to from pole to poor?
Well, somebody put it this way: if you're poor,
yes,
that's with poor. 2 O's.
Right.
That's upper middle class. Po. When you po, P-O.
You down at the bottom.
You close to nowhere. You po.
You po.
I've been po.
You've been po. I know.
I've been po. I was so poor in Chicago at one point, it was hard to spell it.
I understand.
Because by the time you get to that O,
second O, you couldn't do it.
You never made it to the second O.
Okay, or the R.
But we're just joking.
Yes. No, but you really did come from difficult circumstances.
See what I'm saying?
Got it.
So that...
Your website is www.odiehawkins.com. I understand you want a book that Joy Reid just did.
Joy Reid has Edgar Evans and his wife, Myrtle.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she has a new book out.
Let me pronounce the woman's name right. I believe it's... You said.
Medgar Evans and Merle. Merle.
I've always heard Myrtle. It's Merle.
Myrlie.
Yeah, Merle. And she became an iconic figure and one of the first of the black widows of the civil rights struggle. Mm-hmm. They don't write at all about Martin Luther King and Coretta. They've shortchanged Malcolm X and his wife, and so many others. I mean, I doubt if anybody could even tell me what Reverend Al Sharpton's wife's name is. Yeah. And he has kids, and I believe they lived in New York in their lives. Anyway, Joy and Reid, the anchor on the MSNBC, one of the anchors on MSNBC, thought to do a book about their love story. And from what, it was released today, yesterday, I believe.
I believe it was released yesterday, yeah.
And from what we're hearing so far already, it's a very heavy story. I'm looking forward to reading it.
Right, and above your head is Legacy.
Oh, and
that one that you talked about last week.
We got Legacy. This is Dr. Uche Blackstock. I was trying to remember her first name. I was calling her Uche. It's Uche. And she has written this book about the disparities of the treatment for black and white patients by the racism that exists in the medical profession, and how she, learned what it was all about by being a part of it. She and her sister, her mother was a physician first, and then she and her twin sister became doctors.
Amazing.
Yeah, so they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, if you have a goal, go for it. If you have a goal in life, go for it.
Yeah.
If you have a goal,
gotta have it. Gotta
have a goal.
I don't know. The people, you might call it, I would say gold. If you were writing about it, would be the premise. What's the premise of my life? What should be the premise of my life? Right now, I can say it would be to write till I die. Scribble till I die.
And then write on.
Right on, and then write on. For somebody else, it might be to, have a big car or something. I don't know.
All right. Well, with that, thank you, Odie Hawkins, www.odiehawkins.com. You have a new book coming out, Quadroon Balls.
Quadroon Balls and other stories.
With Bright Moments.
Bright Moments.
Yes. And this is the end of this moment in time. And so...
This